Tamar Braxton is fed up. Tamar revealed the true reason Evelyn and Towanda refused to allow Ashlee to join the new Braxton family relaunch show in a stunning live performance that has since gone viral. It has nothing to do with TV contracts or time. Tamar claims that Ashlee's excessive knowledge is the reason. According to Tamar, Evelyn and Towanda are afraid that Ashlee will say something that completely destroys their carefully constructed legacy once the cameras begin to roll. According to her, the two had been secretly trying to keep Ashlee not because she doesn't belong, but rather because she stands for everything they attempted to hide. She is off camera, out of frame, and out of contract. Ashlee is the last person they want mic'd up, according to Tamar, despite the family's darkest secrets, secret documents, and behind-the-scenes drama that never made it to Braxton family values. She will no longer play along tomorrow, though. You can't continue to exclude her. This, she stated. Tamar Braxton was pacing back and forth, phone in hand, anger building in her voice as she hit the Go Live button. Now, fans are demanding answers, and the internet is watching every move Evelyn and Towanda make. If Tamar isn't bluffing, they might not survive what Ashlee has to say. Evelyn and Towanda had actively prevented Ashlee from participating in the upcoming Braxton family TV reboot, not because she wasn't talented, or didn't want to, but because her eyes were wide, her face was bare, and this time, instead of crying, she was furious. What had been whispered behind the scenes for weeks was finally going to be revealed. Be involved, but because, in Tamar's words, she knows too damn much. In a matter of seconds, thousands of fans flocked to the live stream, leaving comments like, "What's going on now? Where's Ashlee?" and "Tamar, you look mad, sis." Tamar, however, didn't wait for the comments to catch up before jumping right in. Do you want to know why Ashlee isn't on the show? Why isn't she in the promotions, interviews, or that lovely little teaser you saw on VH1's page? She looked directly into the camera. Tamar said, raising her voice, "It's because my mom and my sister told producers to keep her out. And baby, let me tell you, it had nothing to do with business and everything to do with fear." The conversation erupted. Ashlee was invited to participate in that episode. Tamar halted, shaking her head in disdain, and then I learnt that she signed the blasted pre-contract, attended meetings, had her hair done, had outfits tailored, and had plots created. Suddenly, there was quiet, as if she didn't even exist. Evelyn informed the producer, "Ashlee will bring too much unnecessary baggage to the brand." "Too much baggage, baby," Tamar said in a broken voice. "The baggage you guys created is her. She is the manipulative woman's daughter. She is evidence that your fossils survived." What the fans were hearing was unbelievable. Tamar wasn't merely disclosing personal information. A complete storage unit full of secrets was being dumped by her. Tamar yelled, "Let's be honest. Ashlee is an expert on everything. She is aware of the family gatherings, the notebooks, and the letters. When the cameras were off, she knew what Mama had said. And most of all, she knows that Towanda's silence isn't protection, it's strategy." Then Tamar did something that nobody anticipated. She produced a copy of the Braxton reboot's initial cast breakdown. She held it up to the television and said, "This is proof. This is Ashlee's name." She was meant to confront Towanda about the DNA lying in episode 4. The 5th episode. She was preparing to discuss being erased with Evelyn on tape when those episodes abruptly vanished. Scripts were revised. Her name was removed. Tamar used a crimson pen to flip the paper around. They scrolled a note. "Before reading the table, take Ashlee out." Evelyn was worried about the tone. Fans only needed that confirmation. The pages were slammed upon the table by Tamar. Ashlee wasn't what you wanted in the program, because she would have destroyed it with the truth, and I'm done acting as though that's acceptable. The conversation turned crazy. Ashlee is essential. Evelyn has been cancelled. Give her a chance to speak. Tamar inhaled deeply. I saw that girl grow up believing she didn't belong in her own home, and that she wasn't adequate. Every time she spoke up, Evelyn said, "We need peace, not problems." But Ashlee isn't the problem. The Lees are the problem. Every time she requested to be involved, she was told, "Now's not the time." Towanda had an opportunity to defend her daughter by saying, "No, Mama." The cover-ups, the silence, the control. That's the real drama. And y'all are scared of it being filmed. Tamar went on, the pain cracked through her anger. You know what she did, though? She deserves a place at the table. She didn't say anything as she met the girl's eyes. Not a single word. Simply watched as they erased her once more. Tamar was obviously not merely standing up for Ashlee. She was defending her inner child. Every time Evelyn needed to take charge of the story, that one was also pushed to the side. I will not allow you to silence any more Braxton women. Not once again. Not when I'm watching. You can remove her from the show, but you can't remove her from the reality. Fans were in full revolt by the time Tamar concluded the live performance. The numbers justice for Ashlee and let Ashlee speak immediately became popular. Social media was overrun with think pieces, YouTube responses and TikToks. Tamar's live footage was already being broken down frame by frame. Supporters began calling for VH1 to make a statement. Blogs asked Ashlee for her thoughts. Nobody could believe that Evelyn and Towanda were still attempting to quiet the one person who had only survived despite all the trauma and family disgrace. Ashlee sat in her flat and read every message, while Tamar closed her phone and wiped her face. She saw the internet come to her aid and felt, for the first time, that perhaps the world was finally ready to hear her side of the tale. But everything would change when she said what she was going to say. After tomorrow's live, the internet was in shock. Her contract receipt screenshots were going viral. Let Ashlee Speak was trending for the second day in a row as fans flooded the VH1 comment sections, seeking answers. The explosion was now spreading far beyond the Braxton household, because Tamar had lit the fuse. Ashlee, however, was sitting by herself in her flat, reading notes from strangers who trusted her more than her own blood ever had, as the public gasped over the drama. Then it took place. At last, she said something. Ashlee spoke to the world in a quiet, unsteady Instagram video. I wasn't planning to say anything, she started off. I reasoned that if I kept quiet, they might stop acting as though I didn't exist, but they. Behind closed doors, they simply became more silent and cruel, she said, her hands shaking as she adjusted the camera. The woman fans had seen in family photos, and on the red carpet didn't resemble her at all. This was sadness, not elegance. She hesitated, glanced down, and then returned her attention to the TV. I was supposed to be on the show, she uttered in a broken voice. I conducted casting interviews, attended meetings, and even recorded a test scene. Tamar, the producers, even Tony welcomed me, but then I received a call from a team member informing me that Evelyn had voiced reservations. Ashlee's voice became quieter, as she said that I had wrecked the show's tone, and that I wasn't a good fit for the Braxton brand. Her face twitched with pain. Towanda stated, I needed to be less reactive if I wanted to stay close to the family, because I know the truth, and they know I'm not afraid to say it. Her eyes filled with tears. I've been told throughout my life that I'm too much, too loud, and too emotional. However, how do you respond when your own mother refuses to claim you? When your grandmother refers to you as a distraction rather than a daughter? I've kept quiet out of love, but silence isn't love, it's survival, and I'm done surviving just so they can keep pretending. This statement is repeated on every platform, screenshot, quoted, and turned into merchandise by fans. Hours. Tamar reposted the video with 3 words, "I told y'all." In the meantime, blogs started delving deeper, and a famous TV insider leaked a picture of the original Braxton reboot contract, which included Ashlee's name, her designated production assistant, and her story arc. 3 of Ashlee's segments were highlighted in yellow. One with Towanda, one with Evelyn, and one called Truth Table, but next to her name in red pen were the phrases marked, EP Remove, along with the initials, EB. Fans realized who that was right away, and the topic abruptly changed from drama to deliberate rubber. According to a former VH1 intern who anonymously contacted a YouTube gossip channel, Evelyn called a private meeting 2 weeks prior to the start of filming, because she didn't feel comfortable having Ashlee on camera, because she thought it would create needless tension. However, when the producers resisted, she threatened to walk, saying, "If she's I'm out on that set." That was the deal breaker. The revelation sent fans into a spiral of outrage. "So, Evelyn's been gatekeeping the family show," a commenter commented. "It's not about unity, it's about control," another person stated. However, the most startling Towanda herself provided the moment, or rather, the absence of one. Ashlee claims that she called Wanda sobbing and pleaded for clarification the day she learnt she had been dropped from the show. "Did you know they were going to cut me? I asked her directly, and she fell silent. There are some things I can't control," she continued. "I realized then that she wouldn't stand up for me." In the video, Ashlee stopped and looked straight into the camera. Like she did when her mother forced her to lie all those years ago, she opted for silence. She's doing it once more now. Fans were devastated. Ashlee's silence wasn't the only thing. It was that the very people who were aware of her experiences abandoned her. Those who had the opportunity to shield her but chose not to. In her own piece, Tamar verified all of this. Towanda had the opportunity to speak. She had the option to refuse Mama, but she chose not to. And there's a lot of silence. The backlash came quickly. Evelyn's Instagram comment area turned into a battlefield. Comments such as, "Why are you scared of the truth? Ashlee is a Braxton. Silence is complicity," swamped every post, regardless of its age. "Stop treating the family like a cult." The true twist soon emerged. The teaser trailer was removed from all platforms by VH1. No caution, no remark, just gone. According to insiders, producers were now re-evaluating their course of action, particularly in light of the intense criticism and demands for responsibility. There were rumors that Tamar had threatened to stop filming until Ashlee returned. Others reported that Tony was also threatening to walk. Not because of Ashlee, but rather because the reality she carried was becoming uncontrollable. The family was breaking apart once more. And Ashlee was at last speaking, while Towanda and Evelyn gathered behind quiet and mysterious prayer warrior quotations. For herself, and everyone was paying attention. Ashlee was surprised by the outpouring of support following her video. In actuality, she had prepared for criticism, for trolls to accuse her of being unappreciative or envious, or for her own family to publicly humiliate her once more. However, she received a tidal wave of affection instead. Messages like, "We see you. You deserve," inundated her direct messages. The world was listening to her for the first time in her life, and it wasn't via Towanda's quiet, or Evelyn's control. "You're not alone anymore." Ashlee's voice wasn't being cut out for once. At that point, she delved even further. A second video was released by her. No music, no tears, no filter, just her, unadulterated and unwavering. She said, "I didn't intend to do this. However, you must realize that this is more than just a reality program. It has to do with a history and a pattern. I've been silenced out of love and erased my entire life to preserve the Braxton image. But now I'm putting the truth ahead of loyalty. Reaching off screen, she displayed a printed email from a VH1 executive. The message was very apparent, even though names were obscured. After examining the underlying issues brought up by Mrs. Evelyn Braxton, we've chosen to delay Ashlee's involvement until Ashlee gazed at the computer. There are creative concerns and potential legal liabilities, given recent family disclosures. Legal liabilities, she said once more. Fans were shaken, saying, "That's code for we're scared, all talk." Speculation erupted on Twitter. By legal liability, what did Evelyn mean? Was she concerned that Ashlee might question the story that had been carefully crafted over the years, or bring up past mistreatment on camera? Tamar also didn't keep quiet. "Y'all are scared of her, not because she's messy, but because she's honest," she wrote after reposting the video. She then dropped one more bomb. "If I allowed her to appear in my solo documentary series, they threatened to sue me." That's the depth of this. The internet went crazy. Tamar stated that she had attempted to include Ashlee in a piece about generational healing in her upcoming personal documentary. "My phone started blowing up as soon as Mama and Towanda heard about her single scene. Towanda claimed that I was reopening wounds that should remain healed, while Mama claimed that I was betraying the family once more. No, the wound never closed. Y'all just threw glitter on it and filmed a confession scene," Tamar said, pausing during the live stream. Screenshots of old scenes from Braxton Family Values in which Ashlee was shown in the background, but was never given the opportunity to speak. One fan created a compilation video of all the times Ashlee appeared on screen, noting how frequently she was ignored or talked over. In one now viral clip, Ashlee tries to join a group conversation, but Evelyn clearly moves her body to block her view. In another, Towanda interrupts Ashlee in the middle of her sentence and turns the conversation back to herself. The fan captioned the edit, "She was never permitted to exist, and they never wanted her in the picture." Evelyn shared a filtered image of a Bible with the phrase, "No weapon formed against me shall prosper," as the backlash against her and Towanda grew. Fans weren't amused, and their remarks were harsh. "Ashlee was the weapon you created, and she's now thriving. That verse won't absolve you of responsibility. God sees what you did to that daughter." Meanwhile, Towanda's quiet became overwhelming. She shared one cryptic anecdote that said, "The loudest voices often carry the most guilt." It immediately backfired, since it was seen as a jab against Tamar. Tamar clapped back with a screen-recorded voicemail. Towanda had left her just a week before the drama exploded. In it, Towanda says, "You know how Mama is. All she wants to do is safeguard what we created." Perhaps it isn't. Suddenly, the narrative changed once more. Ashlee wasn't the issue, but rather the evidence that the Braxton brand was based on control. The Ashlee controversy was more than a plot device. It was evidence that Evelyn would stop at nothing to preserve the legacy, and that Tamar was no longer the only one brave enough to reveal it. The Braxton family had endured scandals before, including infidelity, divorce, bankruptcies, and reality TV meltdowns, but nothing like this. The silence from Evelyn and Wanda had become a louder indictment than any words could have managed after the leaked documents, the cancelled teaser, and Ashlee's emotional public remarks. However, Evelyn was not going to remain silent indefinitely, and when she did speak, it wasn't what fans had hoped for. Even worse, she made an appearance on a podcast hosted by a longtime friend of hers from gospel radio, sitting rigidly in a tailored suit with a Bible propped up next to her like a prop. Her voice was calm, but her words were weaponized. "Ashlee is a young lady with a lot of emotions, and I respect that. But television is not therapy. Sometimes stepping back is love." Fans noticed the diversion right away, and the phrase "stepping back from her whole existence," Miss Evelyn swiftly rose to the top of Black Twitter's hate list. However, The host of the podcast pressed her, asking if she had asked Ashlee to be taken off the show. Evelyn hesitated. She remarked, "I shared my concerns about the direction," after a pause that said it all. "I'll just say that." Without the guts to say it, it was a yes. Towanda delivered the next blow by refusing to participate in an interview. Instead of posting a video, she did what she always does when the walls begin to close in. She hid behind a quote. "Some truths don't need to be televised," read a faint Instagram story in a gentle font. "Silence is the key to healing." Tamar didn't have "you mean silencing her again," she wrote in strong letters, after taking a screenshot of the message and sharing it on her own feed. "You all need to quit acting as though healing comes from silence. It is equivalent to control." The supporters concurred. Thousands of comments poured in. Towanda is still engaged in Evelyn's game. For 20 years, they obliterated her. They want to heal quietly now. Tamar has been attempting to end the pattern. The only person with courage is her. However, the timeline footage from a never-before-seen scenario of Braxton family values that was shot years ago took an unexpected turn. Split out of nowhere. Evelyn is seen speaking to a producer off-camera, while wearing a hot mic in the video. Her statements are chilling despite the calmness of her voice. "That girl had better keep what actually transpired to herself. Too much has been done by me to keep this family name intact." The producer laughs awkwardly, attempting to ignore it, but Evelyn leans in. "I mean it. If that child talks about things that are best left unsaid, she doesn't realize the fire she might create." It was the most obvious acknowledgement yet. Ashlee's talent didn't scare Evelyn. Her truth terrified her. Every blog, tweet, and shade room comment area was rocked by the release. Fan pages discovered an old email from a Braxton team member to a network executive, at the same time that Tamar shared the video with the message, "And y'all thought I was lying." Everyone was devastated by the cue. While Ashlee's placement on camera requires extreme caution, Evelyn is determined not to be a part of any plot that deals with past pain in her family. Preferably, she should not appear at all. The receipts continued to arrive. Evelyn and Towanda both voiced unease with Ashlee during casting meetings, according to a former junior producer of the show who discreetly contacted a gossip YouTuber. Being overemphasized. They claimed she was too sensitive and erratic, but in reality, they were afraid she would be honest, and that it wouldn't fit the family story they had spent years creating. Supporters were incensed. Even people who had previously defended Evelyn began to turn. Meanwhile, Tamar leaned into the flames. With Ashlee at her side, she went live once more. They didn't say much. With her hand over Ashlee's, Tamar sat and listened to her talk. "I never asked to be the face of a movement. I just wanted to sit at the same table where y'all passed plates and secrets like they were blessings, but now that I'm here, I won't be quiet," Ashlee stated, looking directly into the camera while remaining composed. "No longer. Not for TV, not for family, not for shame." The screen went dark. Just authenticity, no outro. The fans had already made up their minds, while Towanda remained hidden behind enigmatic statements and ambiguous scriptures, and Evelyn persisted in her covert PR campaign. Ashlee posed no danger. She posed no threat. The Braxtons didn't want to see themselves reflected in her. The world was aware of the Braxton brand's decline by this point. Evelyn worked for decades to establish her reputation. The carefully controlled persona that had previously elevated the family reality TV star to the status of royalty was crumbling. Not from a rumor or an outsider, but from within. And the very producers who had previously shielded them were hammering in the last nails. That week, internal notes from the VH1 production crew were leaked by a whistleblower, confirming what Tamar and Ashlee had been yelling for weeks. Ashlee was intentionally placed on a blacklist. This terrifying statement was sent to a casting coordinator via email by a producer. Ashlee Braxton's involvement, we've been informed, will bring up unsolved concerns that the family, especially Evelyn and Towanda, are not ready to discuss on TV. It's been strongly advised we remove her unless we want to jeopardize the project. The internet came back to life. Not prepared, but advised. The memo validated what fans had previously pieced together. Ashlee's preparedness wasn't the issue. This was about hiding years' worth of secrets under a polished, happy brand. Tamar uploaded the memo again along with a caption. "You see, I told you that they were prepared to conceal the one important story while pretending to have another season." The next shock followed. Tamar received a private message from a showrunner, which was exposed. "I apologize. I stood up for Ashlee. We desired her. However, Evelyn's team put too much pressure on her. They vowed to close the entire put down. There was nothing we could do." Tamar shared a screenshot of the message that contained the phrase "cowards." Towanda uploaded another quote card, while continuing to refrain from making any public remarks. Family drama has no place on platforms. It belongs in prayer. It's backfired once more. Fans have had enough of dodging and cryptic poetry. The comment section was ruthless. When you were cashing checks, platforms didn't bother you. Ashlee is like family to you. Simply put, you don't want her at the table. You wouldn't have assisted in the erasure of your own daughter if you were so holy. It was no longer limited to backlash on the internet. It has to do with money. 3 scheduled paid church speaking engagements were lost by Evelyn. She had arranged a mother-daughter tour with Towanda, but sponsors cancelled. Streaming services were even pausing Braxton Family Values repeats, while they conducted an internal investigation into the recent incidents. Once revered as untouchable symbols of black family power, the Braxtons were now seen as symbols of domination and silence over generations. However, she will have had enough of being silent by tomorrow. She and Ashlee went live one final time for clarification rather than drama or viewership. They were seated in a studio environment this time. Dim illumination, clear audio, and no filters. Tamar held Ashlee's hand the entire time. Ashlee started. "I've been living in the part of the Braxton tale they wouldn't share, therefore, they never wanted me on the family show." Her voice broke. "I am not the controversy. The scandal has led to me. Growing up, I witnessed the ladies who were meant to love me pass me by as if I were an obstacle. I was never meant to talk. However, I'm not giving up my voice now that I have it." Tamar came next, out of pre-orders in a matter of hours. Requests for Netflix specials, documentaries, and podcast interviews began to come in. Despite being warned to keep quiet, the girl's voice was now the loudest in the room. Everything changed when Ashlee revealed her own project, the daughter they attempted to delete. What had begun as Tamar standing up for her niece had now evolved into a full-fledged reclamation of truth, identity, and legacy. Ashlee was no longer pleading for a place at a lie-based table. She was creating her own platform. Brick by brick, with the same agony that Towanda and Evelyn attempted to use to quiet her. Insiders stated that VH1's producers were frantically working behind the scenes despite the station's dead silence. They were renegotiating contracts. Tamar has declared unequivocally that she would not continue filming the Braxton remake until Ashlee was brought back. "While my niece is receiving treatment, I won't sit around acting like my entire family has recovered. As if she's disposable," she remarked. Evelyn, already under intense fire, made a last-minute appearance at a local church service that weekend in an attempt to regain favor with the community. Her message was layered in scripture and grace, but there was no accountability, just spiritual deflection. This is exactly why the Braxtons keep breaking. From the pulpit, she remarked, "The enemy attacks when families are about to be blessed. We must rebuke division." Tamar's response was as straight and honest as she could have been, "Girl, you are the division." The blessing would have been healing. That week, Towanda had only shared a muted video of herself lighting a candle and praying with the caption, "Some peace isn't meant to be public." However, you once again chose silence. There is no scripture that justifies removing your grandchild from your own family legacy. Ashlee doesn't need your prayers. Fans hauled her right away. Ashlee's name had already surpassed all of the Braxton sisters in terms of social media reach. Her Instagram followers had tripled, and verified accounts began to appear in her comments. She needed your protection. Your silence is louder than anything Tamar ever said. Spiritual bypassing won't save you this time. After being forced into the shadows for so long, she finally dared to step into the spotlight, and as a result, she received offers from streaming services, book agents, and podcast deals. However, her goal was freedom rather than fame. She posted one last video before going silent to concentrate on her next project, in which she sat composedly in front of the camera and said, "I'm not trying to destroy the Braxton. Simply put, I'm sick of acting like I was never one of them. They built a brand on sisterhood and family, but I was family too. I was just not marketable. I was the reminder of something they didn't want to explain," she said, pausing in her calm voice. The final blow came when VH1 cancelled the Braxton reboot indefinitely. There was no press release, no warning, just a quiet internal email leaked by a network assistant that said, "And the irony is, my story is the one the world needed to hear the most." Tamar reposted it with the caption, "And that's on healing. Period." Due to unresolved cast disputes, production setbacks, and outside media developments that don't fit the show's original plot, the Braxton relaunch has been put on indefinite hold. Put otherwise, the script was destroyed by the facts. At last, Evelyn had lost control. The moment Ashlee refused to be erased, the legacy she attempted to preserve through quiet, concealment, and spin collapsed. Towanda reportedly checked herself into a private healing retreat after feeling the pressure. Tony completely distanced himself from the spotlight. In a heartfelt TikTok, Trina expressed regret for not speaking up sooner. And tomorrow, she stood tall, grinning amid the mayhem, at last experiencing the liberation she had battled so hard to provide for Ashlee. And now everyone understood that drama was not the reason for the show's cancellation. One woman finally stated, "I belong here, which is why it was cancelled." What would you do if your family established an empire by pretending you didn't exist? If your mother, grandmother, and aunts remove you from your narrative in order to preserve their reputation? Ashlee didn't ask to be famous. She didn't pursue the cameras. She just wanted the opportunity to be honest. And before the cameras ever rolled, they attempted to delete her. However, she was selected by the populace. No more silence, the supporters declared. No longer distortion of spirituality. No more cover-ups between generations. Do you believe Towanda and Evelyn will have you ever accepted responsibility? Is Ashlee deserving of a show of her own? And did Tamar have the right to reveal everything, or did it go too far? Please share your opinions below. Subscribe, like, comment, and keep an eye out for, despite the Braxtons' best efforts to conceal their reality, Ashlee's only beginning. And her spotlight, baby.